This week's topic came from Jen, who wanted to know how to shift from feeling shame to finding belonging. I started this week looking at the feeling of shame. Monday, I talked about when I felt less shame. Tuesday, I talked about how I shifted from feeling shame to finding belonging. And today, I'm going to focus on a time when I knew I belonged. Thursday, we'll meditate, and Friday, we'll all get a little more poetic and a little bit nerdy and make sense of the journey. So if you have a question like Jen did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. The question I'm starting with today is, when was a time I knew I belonged? I am remembering this time I walked into my new church and I just knew I belonged. I don't know, there was a feeling, and then the people were welcoming, and they didn't seem to care that I had a brace. At that time I had one arm in a brace. Nobody cared, and they were just super welcoming, and I think I was open to it. So what made it easy? Well, I was open to it. I welcomed the interactions with the new people that I was meeting, and I was just myself. I think that maybe just being myself. The next question is, do some people struggle with this sense of belonging? And I'm thinking, well, sometimes I struggle with the sense of belonging. Like, I don't walk in everywhere thinking, oh my gosh, I belong. This is so cool. I wish I did. But sometimes I walk in with the sense of, do I belong? And, so yeah, sometimes I struggle with it, and sometimes I feel good about it. And I think that's what makes it, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. But when I do have that sense of belonging and I walk in, it makes it a lot easier to connect. And I really like that. So what about my makeup makes it easy to connect and feel that belonging? I think that I'm going to go with willingness and acceptance. And I think being able or being willing and accepting of whatever shows up. I think most of the time when I'm feeling like I don't belong, it's because I have these expectations of how other people should behave, and maybe in some ways how I should behave in order to quote unquote fit in with the crowd. So it's actually easier. This is really interesting, processing this right here, that willingness and acceptance actually makes it easier to find that sense of belonging. The next question is, what's the best tool or skill I use to find belonging? Again, I think it's that willingness and acceptance, and to recognize that what I see in other people is also in me, even when I don't like it. Probably especially when I don't like it. I remember this time, my friend Fred, he said, set a random timer and ask yourself what character you're playing, And so on this one particular day, I had the random reminder and I was asking myself, what character am I playing? And I literally caught myself in the middle of thoughts. The little random reminder went off, and I caught myself in the middle of these thoughts of doing exactly the same thing that I was accusing someone else of doing in the household. And I just started laughing, like I always thought it was them. And then I realized it was my thoughts. I don't know if they were really doing it or if I was putting that story on it, because it was what was happening inside of me. So I think that that matters when coming to find belonging. So what does it say about me that I'm willing to see that everyone exists, or all these things, all these feelings, all these behaviors can exist inside of me. And I think that because I'm willing to see that, to accept that, to recognize it, says that I am a loving person. And that's really interesting how hard that is to say on camera. But I genuinely love humanity. And I think we're all here struggling together, and we all belong here. And you belong here just as much as I belong here. And the next question was, how would I describe someone else who did the same thing? And I think that, again, loving, a leader, I get this vision of like an elderly person sitting in a rocking chair on a porch, like one of those people you can just go talk to about anything. And they've been through it, and they just accept. And they're just like, yeah, that's rough. Like that's, you just belong there. And you belong there because they're just that accepting that you have this capacity inside of you to be this fantastic human being. And in fact, it's not even that you can be it, it's that you are it. And I think that's really important. So how has finding belonging helped those around me? Well, I think it helps those around me because they know I'm accepting of who they are, and they belong. They know they belong when they're around me. And that's not always true, because sometimes I get judgy. I'm not going to deny it. I'm human, just like you guys. And I also know that when I find that belonging and I get to that acceptance, the people around me can feel it, and then they're more accepting too, which is really cool. What might have helped me shift into that sense of belonging and acceptance? What may have helped me shift? I think having a spiritual belief and really investigating, not like, like the overarching tenets of, not like specifically you must follow this rule, but the really important, or what popped out is really important to me. Love. If God is love, then this, right? But I think like looking to those leaders, to the gurus, to all of the different sects, to find out what all of the different beliefs are, and noticing that they all converge on the most important aspects, which is really fantastic to me and beautiful. And I think by opening myself up to accepting all of that, to being willing to be wrong, also I think helped me open up to that belonging. I mean, I really had to shift some major beliefs to get to everyone belongs. Does everyone have that ability? No, I don't think so. I think that it's a skill. Just like I love using the balance as an idea. Balance is something we have to practice. Learning to accept, learning that we belong, I think that's also a skill that we have to practice. That it's like I have to really come from that perspective. Even recently, I was at an event and I said, you know what? I just belong there. So I'm going to just be me, and it's going to be okay. And I did. I was just me, and it was so much more relaxing. And the next question is, how does that help others? Well, I think when I know that I belong and I'm in that relaxed state, I'm nicer, I'm more loving, and I'm accepting of them exactly how they are in that moment. And I don't have to change them, and I don't have to change me. And that's really a beautiful thing, because last time I checked, the only person I can change is myself. And even that's a little let's see, it takes time. That's what that's the word I'm gonna say. What do I know I can do because I know how to find belonging? I know that when things get rough and I start to think that I don't belong, that if I can get to that point of willingness and acceptance, that I will find that belonging. And I also know that I can believe that I can look to other people and recognize their humanity. And if I can see their humanity, then how could I not belong? It's impossible. So the next question, I think I kind of answered. What do I know I can do now? Is in any situation, finding that belonging, I think is and that acceptance and being willing to accept whatever it is that shows up, and that means we all belong. And what's the most important skill for me to find belonging? Again, I think it's that acceptance and that love of humanity, and recognizing that we're all connected somehow, some way. There's, I know they're trying to find out exactly what that means scientifically right now. But my experience says, my gut says, we're all connected. And if we're all connected, then we're all part of each other, which means we all belong. So if you have a comment, make sure to leave it below or DM me on Instagram. Even if you have a topic, that would be fantastic. Tomorrow is going to be meditation, and Friday's going to be the Friday Ditty, where I bring the journey together, where I get a little nerdy and a little poetic. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll see you Friday. My name's Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.